The first generation Honda Insight. This is the 2000 through 2006 model of Honda's first hybrid car and the first hybrid car ever to come to US shores. In this video, I'm going to tell you about 10 Easter eggs, quirky things about this car. Now you might think, hey, hang on a minute. I already know there's a lot of quirky things about this car. It's unique. And I've watched the videos and I know things. And so I will say, yes, you probably do. And maybe you know the 10 things I'm about to share. But I've owned 5 of these, and I've been in the Insight community for a while. And in that time, I've learned a few things that maybe even if you're an expert, you don't know. These cars are very quirky. There's things maybe you do know. Like, for example, it has a 3-cylinder, 1-liter engine. It came equipped with a 5-speed transmission and no other option. You couldn't even get an automatic when this car first came out. The car only weighs 1,800 pounds. It was, as I said, the first hybrid in the United States. It has a magnesium oil pan. It has plastic body panels, even has some plastic engine parts like the intake area. It has auto stop, one of the first vehicles, maybe the first to ever feature that. Now it's pretty common. You know, other just quirky things about this car, you know, it looks really quirky. I've heard it called a suppository. You know, there's all kinds of different names and jokes about these cars. So yeah, of course, they're quirky, they're weird, they have tiny tires. But there's some things that kind of go even beyond that. Maybe even if you own one of these, or maybe you're considering getting one day, you may not know about. And again, in my ownership, I've owned a bunch of these for many, many years, and I've just discovered some things, and I was driving around the other day thinking about it, so I thought, let me shoot a video, maybe share some new info with some folks. And so let's go through them. 10 Easter eggs about the first gen Honda Insight. Here we go. Did you know, number 1, did you know the steering wheel in this car is off center? Now, I don't know if you can tell in the video, you probably won't be able to, but I've been driving these for over 5 years. And this steering wheel is actually just a little bit to the right, just a few millimeters. I've noticed that all the years as I look in my line of sight falls right here, looking out. And I've been sitting in this seat for 5 years and racked up lots of miles in this car. And for some reason, this steering wheel is slightly off center. Barely noticeable, but it is a thing. And I've heard other people talk about it, so I'm not crazy. So isn't that interesting? That's the first quirk of this car, the first maybe unknown. Here's another very interesting one. Did you know that the rear track of this car is more narrow than the front track? Now, what track is it's the distance, the axles between the two tires, two wheels. So they did it on purpose, and it was part of the marketing, but it's kind of one of those things that's just not as known. And you can find right here in the service manual, it tells us right here, the track of the front is 56.5 inches, but the track of the rear is 52.2. So you've got a little over 4 inches of a difference. So in the real world, what that means is the tires are farther apart from this view. And you really can't tell looking at it. You kind of can. I mean, I've looked at these cars for so long, I can kind of tell. But this inside track of the back is actually a little more narrow. And the reason they did that was it had to do with gas mileage and helping pull the car, you know, and have less drag and that sort of thing. So very, very interesting thing. Third thing I'll mention, third kind of Easter egg, and this is pretty commonly known to some degree, but maybe this will surprise you, maybe just a little bit. So this has to do with gas mileage, and here's the Easter egg. The Easter egg is that this car was rated at 61 miles per gallon in the city. And some of us are achieving extraordinary numbers. This is a record tank for me. And I'm sitting right now at 1 bar of fuel, almost 800 miles, and I'm clocked 85.5 mpgs average. Yes, I got a few mods and a few tricks, but that's something that's just extraordinary about this car, that a 25-year-old car can achieve that kind of gas mileage. And I'm not doing anything too special. This is just my drive to work. I'm not just like coasting down hills. It's my commute to work, which has like 7 stoplights. And so that's number 3, just the hacks you can do. Most people that own these get around 65 miles per gallon. around, mixed driving. I'm getting 85.5 in town. So number 4, this is very much unknown thing, especially for folks that have these cars in America. Did you know that you can actually, the car does have a way to tell you if you're in lean burn? Now, this has been hotly debated, and some of you guys are probably going to get on here and flame, but it actually tells you, you can find out when your car is in lean burn. And the way you can do it is, all you have to do is push your MPH button and switch to kilometers and hold it down. So what we now have is a little bit of a different meter. And when you're driving, this will show you when you get to that 0, when this bar drops to the 0, you are in lean burn officially. And I'm going to demonstrate that and show you from a write-up that I found. And if you're driving the car, it sort of reverses it. If you're in miles per gallon mode, it'll do one thing. The bars actually go up if you're doing better in fuel economy. If you're in kilometers mode, the bars go down to 0, and it shows that you're burning 0 fuel, and you'll know when you're in lean burn. And I found this little article here on Insight Central. A lot of people in the US and UK miss out knowing when the Insight is in fuel cut mode, thinking the only time you're consuming no fuel is during idle stop. Fuel cut mode is hidden in miles mode. In other words, you can't see it, since maximum fuel efficiency that the display will register is 150 mpg. However, in metric mode, which can be accessed, as I just showed you, by pushing the button, the display registers right down to 0 liters per 100 kilometers. You'll see the bar graph fall to 0 in fuel cut mode when you remove your foot from the accelerator pedal or during braking. So kind of a neat way to see when the car is in lean burn. 5th thing is, this is a very interesting one. I actually just discovered this. Did you know that this car, Honda recommended 87 octane? Honda recommended 91 octane. Very confusing. What? Well, if you go to the regular user's manual, this is what you get with the car. You will see right here on page 118, they tell you your Honda is designed to operate on unleaded gasoline with a pump hot octane number of 86 or higher. There it is. That's just regular old gas. However, when you go to the 2000, same year, service manual, and you go to gasoline motor, it tells you right here, fuel required, premium unleaded gasoline, octane 91 or higher. So we have conflicting information. The owner's manual says 86 or higher, which essentially in America is 87. You can't get 86, at least not in the Southeast. But yet the service manual says use premium. What do we do? Confusion. Now, if maybe you own an Insight now and you're just ultra confused. Everything you know is being undone. Number 6, this is something that people don't think about. And one of the hotly debated things about this car is, should I run ethanol-free gas? And, everyone has an argument. Well, here's number 6. This is number 6 Easter egg. A lot of folks haven't thought about this, and I've said this over and over, and then people kind of say, oh, in the year 1999, when these were built and these engines were programmed, and the timing and the fuel and all the different, things were decided by the engineers of how these engines were going to run, you could not get E10 gas widely available. They didn't have those stickers on the fuel, when you go to the gas station, that said your gas has a minimum or a maximum ethanol content of 10%. That's because back then they didn't add ethanol. So when in 1999, when Honda was programming this computer to run this engine, they were doing it with ethanol-free gas. That's what was available back then. That's before they started putting corn in our gas. Therefore, this car is designed to run on E0. So your best bet for both efficiency and just the car running right and being healthy is to use gas that does not have any ethanol in it. And I would strongly recommend that. Number 7, this is one that a lot of folks with the CVT, I owned one once, I sold it, but I did own one. And a lot of folks with the CVT talk about how the car has a sport mode. And so let me show you something very, very interesting that you'll find in this instruction manual. The sport mode is actually not a sport mode. If you have a CVT, you have a little 2 buttons on your steering wheel, drive mode, regular, and S, sport mode, but no, it's second mode. Now, it actually tells you what second mode is in the owner's manual. Second mode is something that changes the gear ratios, and you use this mode for driving up or downhill, push in second mode on the steering wheel, blah, 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 and you get a little bit of a better, more sporty experience. But they don't call it sport mode. They call it second mode, which I think is very interesting. So again, this is just a little, this is just a little thing, but it's just interesting how often we call it sport mode. And Honda decided this is not a sporty car, so we're not going there. We're going to call it second mode. All right, winding down, just 3 more things. Number 8 is that this car has secret storage. Secret storage in this car, there's 2 places a lot of people don't know about. One is, did you know that behind your passenger seat, there's a mat pocket? Unbelievable. Incredible. And you never really retract this because there's nowhere to go back there. But this is an area of storage, as is this. And then another interesting area is, of course, underneath all of this is a large area where you have, you could fit a lot of groceries. But under that, if you pull that out, there's a spare tire, and there's a significant amount of room to hide things with that spare tire. So that's some secret storage a lot of people don't know about. Number 9 is, I'll just mention this. This is a little more commonly known, but a lot of people still don't know, and that is that your car is pre-wired for rear speakers. Now, if you have a stock car, it's just going to come with gray carpet right here. You'd never know there was a hole there. But if you take a knife and just simply cut, you will find a white plastic circle. You pull that circle, and there's a wire sitting right there ready to receive a speaker. The car came pre-wired with speakers. Why Honda couldn't spend $30 more per car and add 2 more speakers because it sounds so much better is beyond me. But the car is pre-wired, so if you have one of these and you didn't know that, then get some speakers and you can enhance your sound. And the final thing, this is the final Easter egg, and if you don't work on cars, you may not know that, but this is, I think, the only car where you can jack the entire side, both wheels, with 1 jack point. Yeah, very interesting. I've worked on these cars and done a ton of work to them, and learned this early on, and it's just wonderful to be able to lift the entire car. But it shows you here, if you want to put it on a frame, you've got a front and a back. But if you just want to use a floor jack, you set the parking brake, and there is a perfectly centered jack point right in the center. I'll show it to you. I've used this so many times. It's right there. And you can take the entire car and just lift it up and get under everything with 1 jack. Never had a car where you can do that. The car is so light, it's not hard to do. Well, folks, that's it. 10 Easter eggs, unknown maybe to you. Maybe you knew all those things, but I thought I'd share them because I find this interesting. This is the 1st generation Honda Insight 5-speed. Loving this car, about to get a personal best with my MPGs, and we'll drive it off into the sunset. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Leave me your comments if you have other Easter eggs that are unknown. I'd love to hear them. I can still learn. And hope this finds you well. Peace, and God bless you.